Darryl, we're going to try to cover a lot of territory today. I've had a chance to read up on your story and your background a little bit, but I want to hear a little bit from you personally too. So,
Okay.
Can you just tell me a little bit about like where you grew up and kind of your background, where you were when you were just a little kid, and kind of your growing up story?
Well, so I grew up in Chicago.
Yeah.
I grew up in the city in Chicago. And pretty much I grew up in a Boys and Girls Club, in a YMCA. I played basketball. Well, I played sports all the time, but once I got into basketball, I played it pretty much every day.
Really?
So played basketball, played in high school. Just pretty much a Chicago kid until I came here.
Yeah.
Came to school here and,
How and when did you kind of decide that basketball was your game if you were playing sports? I mean, how did you fall in love with basketball?
I probably when I realized that I loved basketball, I probably was young, probably fifth or sixth grade. Probably fifth or sixth grade when I realized I didn't want to really do any other organized sports. Like I still play baseball and football all the time, but just in terms of being on a team, only team I wanted to be on was a basketball team.
Really?
Yeah.
I think I read too that you came, from Iowa. I don't really know what the Robert Taylor home, what that means, but can you tell us about like what that means for somebody coming from the Robert Taylor homes, what that says about somebody?
Yeah, so what the Robert Taylor homes is actually the biggest project in the United States. It's huge projects. 16-story buildings, 10 floors on each, 10 apartments on each floor. It's the projects basically. And right there in the middle of Chicago, close to the lake, close to the Dan Ryan, and a lot of kids, a lot of stuff going on there. Yeah, a lot of stuff going on. It's a whole nother story, but that's basically what the Robert Taylor homes were. Is just basically in a certain neighborhood. You got the gangs, drugs, and sports, and pretty much everything in between.
Yeah. Is it safe to say that there are not, maybe not a lot of success stories coming out of that neighborhood, that part of Chicago? Or do you feel like you kind of, beat the odds when it comes to coming out of there and going to college, getting a degree, things like that?
I definitely feel like I beat the odds. So, it's other people that obviously made it out, a lot of very successful people. But, yeah, I definitely say I beat the odds. A lot of times I ask myself, why me versus somebody else? Because, just like any other situation, I could have been on that side and somebody could be sitting here where I'm sitting right now. So, a lot of, it's not all just me. I think it's definitely something else outside of myself that helped me.
Sure. Are you able to expand on that a little bit? Some of those things that are outside of yourself? Are you a Christian man or something else that really has helped you get to this point?
I like to call it the universe, man. Like the universe had a plan for me. I think my parents and my family instilled a lot of values in us that really kind of separated us and made us different from a lot of other kids in the projects. Went to school every day. We had our chores, just all those different things, family, just the way my family instilled, all those core values in us. I think that's just some of the things that helped me, my brother, and my sister, get out of there.
Sure.
Yeah.
You mentioned, gang stuff and all things like that going on there. Was that something that, were you close to getting into that world, or was that something that you were ever in danger of kind of getting more involved in that life versus going into, basketball and the sports world?
I think because you live there, you are close to being in that world, because really everybody you hang out with, either they're in that world or close to being in that world in general. And you don't really see it that way because it's your everyday life. One thing that separated me, I played basketball all the time. I was an athlete, and so that's what I was known as. And because of that, it was kind of a protection, for me. Hey, this is a basketball guy. He's an athlete. He's not part of that. But still, my friends, were part of that world too. So yes, I was very close to it.
Yeah. When you were going to high school, did you have hopes of or realistic ideas that you could play Division I basketball? It sounds like you maybe wanted that to happen, but did you really think you could make that happen at the Division I level?
That's an easy no. I say no, not at all. I just felt like I was trapped in that world, and I really didn't see any other way out. Going to college for me was a last second thing. In my head, I was going to go to trade school. I was going to be an electrician or something like that. My brother's been an electrician for 30 years, and he's doing well. And I just thought that's the way I was going to go. And college was the very last decision for me. Obviously, I wanted to play college basketball. I just didn't know how it would happen. I didn't know what it took to happen. All I did was play hard every day. Play hard and play it every day.
I think the story I read was that it was kind of like literally last day decision to come out here to Iowa. I mean, how did you make that decision? It sounds like you had some friends that were coming here too.
Yeah, so we had a day in school where it was a go visit Iowa day, but we had to apply to go. So like, okay, I'll apply just to get a day out of school. So I applied, and we came here on a visit and had a great time, and I had to fill out, I did my financial aid, had everything filled out. But then the time came around for orientation, and my buddies asked me, hey, we going up for orientation, you want to go? I was like, nah, I'm good, so I didn't go. And then they came around again. Well, we're heading up there tomorrow, you can ride with us if you want. At that point, as the pressure started to set in, I didn't really know what I was going to do. So I talked to my mom, I was like, hey, we decided that we're going to do it, so we put together some stuff in the trunk, and off to Iowa I went. And like I said, I happened to just have everything, my paperwork filled out. I just didn't have any classes. So when I got there, my buddy introduced me to his academic advisor, and I added all my classes manually. I stayed in the lounge at Burge. There were 10 other guys until I got my dorm, and that was it.
Yeah. I mean, were there a lot of back and forth? It sounds like, you did have ideas about what you might want to do next, electrician, things like that. So even up to the last minute, it sounds like there was still a lot of back and forth in your own mind about your future.
I don't even know if it was back and forth, because I never even applied to electrician school. I never even applied or anything like that. It was just, I just felt like I had time. I was still living at home. Obviously, I was getting free meals, so it really wasn't a lot of pressure yet. So I just, like a lot of things in my life, it happened at the right time. And I always say, if you move in the right direction, good things will happen. You don't know what those things would be. But if you move in the right direction, the universe will put the right things and people in place for you.
So how did you get connected with the Hawkeye basketball team once you were here? Did you have an initial meeting with Coach Davis, or how did you kind of get connected?
So they had no idea I was coming. So like I said, I love to play basketball every day. So after we had dinner in the dorms, we go to the Fair House literally every day to play. And one day, one of the coaches were up there, Rick Moss, and some of the players, and we had necks, and we played against them a few games, and they liked the way I played, and Coach Moss approached me and said, hey, I think you can play for us. He said, if you can play this hard for pickup basketball, just imagine what you can do if you were playing for something. And he meant in a walk-on capacity. He didn't mean like I'm going to give you a scholarship, right now. That was a latter part that happened, but he just meant I can contribute to the team, whether it's in terms of a walk-on as a practice player, as a scout player. But no, I had no idea. They kind of was in the right place at the right time. Well, I was in the right place.
Yeah. Have you ever heard of any other story kind of like that, at least in Iowa? It seems like that is kind of a singular story where a kid just gets discovered in the field house and then gets able to join the actual team itself. There can't be a lot of guys that have seen that story kind of like you.
You know what? When I was done playing basketball, I never even heard. I had no idea what a walk-on was. Didn't even know it existed. And then when I became a part of the Iowa basketball team, I learned that walk-ons are recruited. Like, they're Iowa kids that can play. They've had opportunities to play college basketball. They just got recruited to be a walk-on or a scout team player. So no, I had no idea it existed. I don't know any other stories that, like I said, most of the walk-ons are recruited. Yeah. And I wasn't recruited. So I was just a guy that, got a chance to try out.
Yeah. Tell me about what it took, to get to that point, again, from the field house to being able to work your way into the starting lineup eventually. That had to still just be an incredible amount of work that you had to put in over those 2-3 years.
So that's the only way I know how to live life, is to work. Give the best effort, and that's what I teach around here. You give your best effort no matter what you do. It doesn't matter if I'm on a basketball court. It doesn't matter if I'm at work. I'm going to give the best effort. And so, like I say, that's one of the values that my parents instilled in me. And when I was a walk-on, I figured I had no chance of playing. But it was still in the back of my mind that hey, maybe there is an opportunity. So I never mailed it in practice. Every day at practice, I gave it everything I could. I pushed myself as hard as I could. I hit the weights. I never lifted weights before. So I grew a couple inches when I got here. I hit the weights. I put on a little, a little muscle. And when opportunity came, I had to be ready, because I knew if I didn't get that opportunity, I never would have got in again, because, you don't get that many opportunities like that. But it was just being ready for when the opportunity came.
Yeah. Was that a long 2-3 years waiting for that time to come? I have to imagine some frustration, just anxiousness waiting for that time to come.
It was very frustrating. The first year wasn't as frustrating because I knew I wasn't ready. So that wasn't as frustrating, but as I start to get better and bigger and stronger, the frustration sets in because at first I didn't. I was like, well, I'm not ready. I can't, I'm ready. But then when I got ready, I felt like I can compete with these guys and I felt like I can play. That's when the frustration starts to set in. And it doesn't matter how frustrated I still wasn't going to play until some guys got injured. And then, I was just there. But I got to a point where I felt like I can play with those guys at that level.
Were there any guys that still stick out in your mind as maybe teammates that helped you get to that point? Guys that really did maybe mentor you along the way to help you get that ready for that starting role?
So Andre Woolridge and I came in at the same time. He redshirted, he transferred from Nebraska, and he redshirted, and we came at the same time. So basically as a redshirt, he was part of the scout team with me. So we became really close. We joined the same fraternity. We worked out, we hit the weights. We played one-on-one full court. I mean, we really hit it hard. We would practice, with the team. Then we would go work out on our own. And we still talk to this day. So we came really close. And without a doubt, Andre was the guy that really helped me get through, in terms of the person on the basketball team.
Sure.
Yeah.
Another guy we talked to for one of these stories recently was Jeff Settles, and I think your guys' careers would have overlapped exactly, right? So, what did he mean to you as a teammate, or what kind of a teammate was Jess for you?
So Jess came in the same year as Andre and I.
Okay.
And I'm gonna tell you what, when I saw Jeff Settles for the first time, and he was 6'8" and 215, 220, I don't know. I was like, I am not ready for the Big Ten. Not ready for the Big Ten. That guy worked as hard as anybody. I mean, he worked his tail off, and I'm gonna tell you what, he's an even better guy. So even just watching him as an example for his hard work on and off the court, and just being a super nice guy, he didn't treat the guys as walk-ons or anything like that. We were all part of the team. It wasn't a separation. You know what I mean? So watching him be the person that he was really not just inspired me, but inspired a lot of other people too.
As you went through your career, I mean, walk me through what that was like the first time you got a chance to start. I mean, stepping on that court for the first time, knowing that you're in the starting spot. I mean, what was that moment like? Can you still remember that feeling in your head at that point?
I can remember like it was yesterday because the game before that, I had never played in the first half. And then some guys got injured, just being one of them. I got in the first half, and then I actually played pretty good. In the next game, I started. It's a whole different role when you're starting versus coming off the bench, and I was scared. I was so nervous. But all the preparation and hard work that I put in, it was just in my head. As long as I go out there, they don't need me to score the ball. I'm not going out there to score 20 points. If I can go out there and play as hard as I can get some stops on defense and get the rebound, then I'll be fine, not turn the ball over. And that was my goal. Go out there, play as hard as I can, don't hurt the team. And that was it. Because once the ball goes up, the nerves kind of go away. But up until that point, it was pretty nerve-wracking.
Yeah. When you think back to your time at Iowa right now, is there maybe one or two moments or a singular moment that you think about as like, maybe your big highlight from your time as a Hawkeye?
Well, probably my biggest highlight is one, just even getting a chance to play. Right, getting a chance to play, then getting a chance to start. So it all happened in steps. So I got to play, I got to start. But even as a walk-on, I didn't have my name on the back of my jersey. So we got 4 guys out there with their names and then me with a blank. Me getting my name on my jersey was a big deal. It was a big deal to me. And then once I got on scholarship, that probably was my biggest highlight, is once I got on scholarship, because the first thing I did was I called home and I told everybody, and it was just really exciting because I felt like I arrived. Because even before, at the beginning when I was playing, still a walk-on, I didn't feel like I arrived yet. But that kind of made it official for me. And what that did for my confidence, you can't really put it into words, but it helped my confidence a lot.
You talked about some of the guys back home while you were playing when you were younger that maybe kind of insulated you from some of the negative aspects of your environment. I have to imagine that once you did get on the team and were starting for the Hawkeyes, that was a big moment for them too, for your family and your friends from back home to see you reach that level.
Dude, they were so proud of me back home. And this is funny because they were like, hey, this is my buddy, he plays for Iowa State. And I'm like, no, it's not Iowa State, it's not Iowa State. They were like, it's the same thing. I'm like, okay. But they were so proud of me. Every time I go back, everybody got so excited, and you know, I would still play when I go back, you know, play pickup and everything, but just the whole community was proud of me, from my parents. My mom was so proud when I walked home, my old coaches, just the community just kind of embraced the whole thing, and that's really made me feel proud once I saw how happy they were for me.
What was it like playing for Coach Davis? What kind of coach was he when you were a Hawkeye?
Coach Davis was amazing. He was totally opposite from the crazy coaches that I grew up with. Dude, I had some crazy coaches, man, throwing chairs, and we got the paddle. It was crazy, old school. Coach Davis was quite the opposite. Coach Davis got his point across. Very, very intelligent guy. He always had us prepared. He always had us working hard, because you know you can lose your spot at any moment. You know, he would bring somebody up and sit you down. Darryl, you go to the black team. Jess, you go to the white team. So you was always in fear for the most part, unless you were Andre or Jess, or losing your spot. You know, so he's very, very intelligent guy. He always had us prepared. He took the blame for when we messed up, although he had us prepared. He still took the blame for it, and he just looked after us, man. Solid guy.
I know he still lives in the Iowa City area. Do you still have a relationship with him at all, or have any contact with him?
So, yeah, he still lives in Iowa City. I run into him from time to time, you know, around town. I run into him at the Chris Street, you know, golf tournament. Like, I don't call him up or, you know, or anything. He's a pretty private guy. But if I needed to call him, if I needed anything, I know he would be right there. Yeah. But he's retired, man. He's doing his thing, man. I don't want to bother that.
Yeah, you mentioned Chris Street. I mean, you obviously would have been here a little bit after that. I mean, did you? I don't know. You wouldn't have had any run-ins with Chris while he was still here or anything like that. Any connection to Chris Street at all? I guess that's my question.
So it's interesting. Chris passed away in January '93. I came in the fall of '93, and when I got there, it was like it just happened. Still, Chris's locker was still there. And so the light was on his uniform and a bunch of things from him in his locker. And I remember at the first banquet, they gave the Chris Street Award. It was this big award. And I remember sitting there thinking, I want to win that award. I hadn't even played a minute yet. I hadn't played a minute. But I wanted to win that award because that's what it meant. I mean, it was a big deal. Then I eventually won the award. I won the award my senior year. And that probably was the biggest. I'm getting chills thinking about it, because going back to one of your previous questions, I didn't think about it. That might have been my biggest accomplishment at Iowa, is receiving a Chris Street Award, because of what it means to this program and the state of Iowa. And when they finally took Chris's locker down, that was my locker. It became my locker. So when I got on scholarship and I moved into the big locker room, that's the locker I got. So I'm getting chills kind of thinking about it. It was pretty cool.
Have you talked to Chris's family or ever? I mean, I would imagine you maybe met his parents at least a little bit.
Yeah, totally. So when they come back, like I don't call them or anything like that, but when they're back in town, I want to make sure that I introduce myself and say hi to them and everything like that. But they live in Indianola, but they still come back to the Chris Street golf outing, and they come back to a game here and there. So I just make sure to say hi, but I don't have a relationship with them or anything.
I don't know a whole lot about what happened after you were a Hawkeye. I mean, did I hear that you maybe played a little bit professional overseas, or did you do a little bit of pro ball after?
Yeah, so after I graduated, I had a chance to, go to, a basketball camp in Chicago, a pro camp in Chicago. And actually, I got picked up by a team in Poland, so I played professional basketball right after I graduated. And that's another thing that I had no idea was going to happen. And yeah, I went over there and I played. I actually played, pretty good over there, and it was a great experience. I played in Poland. And it was a great experience for me, and I could put that on my resume as well. So it's just a lot of things just added up, and I think, like I said before, me moving and me giving my best effort, it just put me in a lot of good situations.
Was it just the one season in Poland, or how long did you play there?
Yeah, so I just played one season in Poland. Okay. It just really wasn't my thing. Sure. Like I said, I played basketball every day, but once I started playing for money, it became a job. And it took some of the fun out of it. So although I played well over there, it just wasn't my deal. It just wasn't my deal. And I was starting a young family, man. I was starting a family. And so I had kids. So either you'd be over there 10 months out of the year, or you raise your family over there. And at that, I didn't want to do either one of those. So I decided to walk away, and no regrets. I always say if I had a 10, 12-year pro career, I wouldn't have the body to do what I'm doing now, because I'm still hands-on and I kind of mix it up when I'm in here. So I think things happen for a reason. And I don't know if I would have the knees if I would have played 12 years.
Yeah. I still have to think too. I mean, just looking back at where you started your journey in Chicago to going to Poland to play professional ball. I mean, that not a lot of guys get a chance to live that story.
You know, the crazy thing is, I got to Poland. I'm like, what am I doing? You know what I mean? What is this kid, like you said, what is this kid from the projects doing in Poland over here by himself, where he doesn't speak the language or, you know, anything? Like, he doesn't even know his teammates' names, you know, things like that. So sometimes I just sit back and let it all sink in, that the things, the experiences that I've had, a lot of people don't, most people don't get to experience. So I feel fortunate.
Yeah. So did you just come straight back to Iowa after that then and started kind of coaching, or what'd you do after that?
I didn't start coaching. Actually, I got back to Iowa. So my career before this, I was in sales. I was in medical sales for 16 years. That was my career. So I did pharmaceutical sales and surgical sales. So I did that for a long time. And then I just decided it wasn't my passion. It wasn't my passion. I was good at it, but I just didn't. I got to a point where I wasn't feeling it. I was feeling this more than I was feeling that. And then I had the support of my wife. And that's really all I needed, you know, so I had that support, so I started Court 45, and we've been rolling ever since.
Wow. So, yeah, what was kind of the inspiration behind Court 45? How'd you even get that idea?
Yeah, so I coached my kids' teams, and then I coached some other teams, and, you know, I developed some players as I was coaching them. I developed some individual players, and then I just had a few people ask me, hey, do you train? Do you train kids? And I'm like, nope, but I would. You know what I mean? So it really just started by training some of the kids that was on my team, and then it became where I was training one kid, then two kids, and then it's a small town, the word travels. And then it really became something that I really like to do. And so it just really picked up from there. And the whole Court 45 thing is, I didn't want to name it Darryl Moore Training or something like that, because I didn't want it to be about me. Right? So I wanted to name it something that wasn't Darryl, but still had something to do with me. So I named it Court 45 because my number was 45. But it's just a court, and we just train people, man. I don't want it to be about me. I want it to be about the players.
Sure. And is this, I mean, is part of it just like getting back to the community? I mean, you had so much that was invested in you growing up, it sounds like. I mean, is that part of your inspiration for doing this, wanting to kind of pass that along to the next generation too?
100%. Because there's no way I make it out from where I made it without the help. Somebody helped me every step of the way, and so it's really my way of giving back to helping people the way people help me, because I had so much help, and I really feel like I'm doing it.
Is this something you see yourself doing for whatever, the rest of your career, as long as you can? Or, I mean, do you have bigger plans for something else that you might want to do down the road?
Well, at this point, I'm in a good place. I got some good people, some good coaches that I work with. I got a great community that supports me. So at this point, this is what I want to do. Maybe, you know, look at a bigger facility. I know we think about that sometimes. This is a perfect facility for training, but we got a lot of kids, and sometimes we run out of space, but we make it work. So really, the only thing that's on my radar is maybe getting a bigger space. But this space works, and we're in a great location. So other than that, no, I'm going to ride it out and see how it goes. I got some young guys under me that do a great job, and hopefully we can keep this going and pass it on to them.
Do you like working with this level? I didn't know if you'd maybe want to do, you know, either high school coaching or college coaching or anything like that one day.
So I know for sure I don't want to coach college. I'm just too involved in my family and the community. They're gone too much. It takes too much time away from the things that I love to do here. And I just love the kids. I love teaching at a young age. And high school, I really don't have no interest in teaching high school either, because now I'm stuck with that high school. Here, I train all the high schools. I train all the AAU teams. So we're kind of a neutral ground where we train everybody. And I really like being in that role. And once again, training at a high school takes too much time away from what we're trying to do here. Coaching at high school.
Are you able to name drop anybody who's come out of here that you're kind of proud of, like, wow, look at what they did at the next level?
Well, I don't really like to name drop at all, but so we actually have one of our players playing in the Final Four next week. Hannah Stalkey is one of our, one of our alumni. Patrick and Connor McCaffrey, Phil. Vibracha works with one of our guys. So we got some players. We got other players, at different places, but those are people that we were recognized around here. And like I said, I really don't like to put that out there, but if you ask, but those are some people that come through here.
Did you meet your wife at Iowa? Was she a Hawkeye player too, or did you just meet her on campus?
No, she wasn't a Hawkeye. She wasn't a Hawkeye player. She did go to Iowa,
Gotcha, okay.
but we met way later.
Yeah.
So we didn't meet.
So just going into your kids, you said you had a son who played for Nebraska football, and you said how many kids do you have?
So we have 6.
6?
We have five girls and 1 boy.
Okay.
Yes.
And so
yes.
did they all play college sports to some degree, or just a few of them?
No, so we had one daughter that played softball at Southwest Minnesota State.
Oh.
We had a daughter that played volleyball at Mount Mercy,
Okay.
and my son played football at Nebraska. And then we have 3 girls that didn't play college sports, but we had 2 out of the 3 that played high school basketball. So pretty much 5 out of 6 played pretty good level sports, and they're pretty good.
Are any of them wanting to follow in your footsteps as far as kind of coaching or doing anything like this down the road?
Well, they kind of have their own things going on. Like my son, he just graduated in December, and he started his job, but he would be a great coach. He'd be a great coach because he understands the game. He knows how to teach it. He has the patience to teach it, and he loves kids. But right now, like at that age, when I was his age, I wasn't interested in coaching either. So who knows? But right now, no, I don't have any of my kids.
Do you still have family back in Chicago, or do you go back there ever?
Go back all the time.
Okay.
So my dad there, my mom's passed on, but my dad's there, my brother is there, my sister, and we're really close. I go back all the time. My other family's there, aunts, uncles, cousins. Everybody's there, really. So we go back all the time. We drive, and we try to make it back as much as we can. Obviously, we're busy here, but.
And do they still live in some tough neighborhoods, or have they been able to kind of get out of the project?
Yeah, fortunately they have. So they tore my buildings down.
Wow.
Which is a good thing. They tore them down, they demolished them.
Okay.
So my neighborhood no longer exists, which is a good thing. But my family was able to make it out and go on and do bigger and better things as well. And I'm just as proud as them as they are of me. And yeah, like my brother, my sister, they're doing great things. My brother's an electrician, my sister's a nurse, and we just sit back and we just kind of give it all to our parents. I mean, it can't be us.
When you give a pitch for Court 45 and kind of what it stands for, why people should come here, what do you kind of say? What are the main things that Court 45 instills in athletes that they work with?
So the only thing we want to do is we want to develop young athletes. We want to teach them work ethic, and we want to teach them the right way. We want to teach them how to be athletes. So our motto here is 100% effort, 100% at a time. And it's not about what skill level you are. I mean, like I said, we have people that's playing professional basketball overseas, and we have kids that never touched the ball and everything in between. If you work hard and you listen to what your coaches are telling you, then you have fun and you'll get better. And that's really what we do, man. We just want to develop and we want to meet you where you are.
I want to hear about Hannah a little bit, working with her and how special it is to see all the success she's had just in 1 year at Iowa.
So Hannah comes here. So Hannah's a really, really hard worker. No, she comes in, she listens, I tell her something, she'll let it register, and then she does it. Like Hannah, I looked at one of my guys one time after working her out, and I said, that's a pro. And I never told her that, but just the way she moves, she's big, she's strong, she's fast, she's athletic, and she's very coachable. And where she is now, she couldn't be at a better place with Coach Jensen and Lisa Bluter. And I think she's in a great place. And I just want to be a resource to continue to help her if she needs me, and just kind of be a resource for her. But she's a great kid, and I am so happy for her and Iowa Women's program.
Did she just start working with you this year, or did she work with you back when she was in high school?
Yeah, back when she was in high school, she started working with me. And her dad's a little skeptical because, coming with a trainer, he thought I was going to try to change her shot. Mike, I hope you. But he came and he sat in for a few sessions, and he was like, I want you to continue to work with her. And she's been coming consistently. Obviously, when she's at Iowa, she's got a lot of things going on, but off-season stuff. But yeah, after a few sessions, he was sold on what we were doing here. And we've had a great relationship, and she comes in and she listens, she asks questions, and she works hard. That's all I can ask for.
Do you feel like, when you look back at your own personal story, do you like to kind of serve as maybe an inspiration for other people? I know you seem like a humble guy who maybe doesn't want to talk a lot about it, but I mean, do you like to at least share your story to serve as an inspiration for younger kids?
So I did a podcast with Kenyon Murray, who was my teammate. And it was some people that heard that story, heard that podcast, and was like, dude, I had no idea. You need to tell this more. And I'm like, not really. But when they said, it really resonated that maybe I do need to tell my story more. It's my story. I've heard it my whole life, so I'm sick of it. Right? But other people haven't heard it. So I do want to serve as an inspiration to people to know that it doesn't matter where you start. You know, as long as you surround yourself with the right people and you surround yourself with the right work ethic and you keep moving, you can make good things happen. Because I'm telling you, I'm proof of it. I didn't have the greatest starting line. You know what I mean? I had the best resources. But I continue to be positive and I continue to work. So yeah, I hope people can hear my story and it inspires them.
Anything else you want to add? Anything that I should know that I didn't ask about as far as your story or anything?
No, I think you covered everything. Like I say, I just hope you know people can use my story as an inspiration. And I just really, what we teach here, work hard and have fun. And that's really how I live my life. Best effort, no matter what you do. So that's what I want to pass on. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Good. All right. Well, I'll stop rolling right now. If